What's up everybody, JP here. By popular demand, I'm doing a video about something super exciting. I even have notes. You can see how detailed those are. That subject is report writing.
And they are up!
A couple of things before we get started. This is totally unscripted. I don't do that. I don't know if that's laziness or what it is, but there might be some weird jump cuts because inevitably I'm going to say something stupid that I don't like and I'm going to have to edit that out, and so just bear with me. Report writing is not actually super exciting, but it is an essential part of what we do. Your report could literally mean someone gets away with something or someone goes to prison. What is in your report paints a picture in the minds of the jury or the judge or whoever it is that is reading that report. So if you write a crappy report that doesn't give any detail or doesn't tell the full story, then that is all that person has to go on. There's probably going to be a crappy outcome, whatever that entails. So when do you write a report? There's a number of situations in which a report would be appropriate. So I'm just gonna kind of go through a few of those. Obviously this is not an end-all be-all list. If somebody asks for a report, then your job is to provide that service. Protect and serve, that's where the serve part comes in. Even if it's stupid and you don't feel like it's ever gonna go to court or whatever the case may be, if they ask for a report, it is not that difficult for you to sit down for 10 minutes and write a report. If you feel like whatever situation you're dealing with will persist or keep going or come back on night shift or whatever the case may be, if you feel like there will be a continuation of that situation, it would be a good idea to do a report, because if nothing else, the oncoming shift can, if they have to go back out and deal with the same individuals, they can look at your report, see what you did, see if they need to move further, or just have general information before they even get there. If an arrest was made during an incident, then you're going to do a report on that. You have to establish probable cause for making that arrest. There has to be some sort of context leading up to that arrest. If force was used during an incident, if you had to go hands-on or utilize a tool with someone in order to subdue them or effect an arrest, or if there was a pursuit, then you're going to do a report on that, especially if someone was injured, including you. You have to be able to justify why you used force. Probably my favorite reason for writing a report is if something unusual happens, and this job is very unpredictable. Something unusual happens a lot. At any point in time you think, you know what, somebody is probably going to have a question about this. You might want to just go ahead and answer that question for them. That way they don't have to come hunt you down and ask you why you didn't do a report. That type of report is also known as the CYA report. And speaking of CYA, we're en route back to the office to go get my body camera, which I just realized that I left. It's like, when you look into a mirror, you can see the things that are not correct. So once you've established that you got to do a report, what actually goes into that report? Where do you even start? Well, I would argue that step one would be to watch your body cam footage, because that speaks louder than a report does. And if your report does not line up with that camera footage, there's going to be some questions asked, and you probably should find a new line of work. It's always a good idea to watch the body cam footage, and it helps you to get your thoughts in order and to remember the things that occurred, because things happen quickly. A lot of things can happen at once, and you can only take in so much of that. And the magic of body cameras is that you have an opportunity to relive those events. So step one, watch your body cam footage. As far as actually writing the report, I always, and this is just me, everybody kind of has their own style of doing this. I like to talk about what I was dispatched to. So almost an introduction. On such and such date at such and such time, I, Officer Logan Ryder, was dispatched to such and such place in reference to such and such complaint. Dispatch advised me that there was a domestic in progress involving a male and female. No weapons are involved at this time. That would be kind of an introduction for a typical domestic situation. So next would be your arrival and what you observe when you get there. Your observations can tell you a lot about what is going on. For instance, if you hear screaming, what does that tell you? Somebody needs help. Something's going on that's less than ideal. Once you make contact with whoever you're supposed to be talking to, do they have bruises? Are they crying? Do they seem like they're afraid to talk to you in front of somebody else? All of those things are important, and all of those things can help you establish probable cause for an arrest or paint a picture, like we were talking about earlier, for whoever's going to be reading that report. Well, the next step, you kind of have to talk to people in order to figure out what's going on. And before you do that, it's always a good idea and also required by law to read them their Miranda rights. I don't know about other states, but in Louisiana, at basically any time I am asking questions that could be incriminating, or if I feel like the person that I'm talking to is a suspect, I'm required to read them those rights. I can ask things like, "Hey, what's your name? What's your date of birth? Where are you coming from?" Which, what? Maybe not that one. That one could be incriminating, but I can identify them without reading their Miranda rights. Anything past that, when you start asking questions about an incident and you feel like they're a suspect and you feel like the answers to those questions could be incriminating to them, you read them their Miranda rights. So you get there, you make your observations. When you get ready to talk to people, you will Mirandize them. Then you'll interview them. If it's a domestic, I guess sticking along those same lines, obviously you need to separate those two parties. If it's a domestic, you're more than likely going to have other units responding with you. So one person talk to one of the people and you talk to the other one, and then once you get done, switch. That way those parties involved have an opportunity to tell their story. You as the police have more than one opportunity to listen and make decisions and provide help, because you have more than one officer listening to the stories more than once. I don't know if that makes sense. After that, after you do your field interviews, you'll take some sort of action. On some calls, there may not really be an action to take. It may just be you show up, nothing's actually going on, and so you get 10-8. On a domestic, generally you'll make an arrest, more than likely, if there's a legitimate domestic incident going on, because it's not necessarily about punishing somebody. It's about separating those parties so that they don't hurt each other, so that it doesn't escalate into something worse. So by taking one or both parties to jail, you are effectively ending that situation in a manner that involves nobody getting hurt. If you can establish a primary aggressor in the situation, then you need to do so, because that will help the judge kind of identify the problem and make a decision accordingly when it comes to court. If you can't identify a primary aggressor, you still have to separate those two individuals. So they both may need to go to jail that day. It just depends on the situation. So I guess to summarize that, you talk about what you were dispatched to. When you get there, talk about what you observed. Mirandize your subjects. That also needs to go in the report, that you Mirandized them. If it didn't go in the report, it didn't happen. After you Mirandize the parties involved, conduct your field interview, find out what happened, and then decide what you're going to do, if anything. So the layout of the report kind of goes along with the layout of what you do on the call. And that makes sense if you think about it, because your report is just, you're telling a story, and that story has a beginning, middle, end. Joker may have killed somebody with a pencil, but I just secured the door to a business with a plastic bag from the outside. So I just realized I kind of went off on a tangent about how to work a domestic call, which is not the intent of this video. It's supposed to be about writing reports. Hopefully you kind of got what I was trying to get across. If not, obviously ask questions and I will be more specific or reword things. I will also roll in an actual domestic report that I wrote, and if you want to, you can pause the video and look at that. Every report's different, but generally it follows this outline. So hope you guys enjoyed. I know this wasn't a super entertaining video, but I had several requests for it, so if nothing else, they have their answer. Thank y'all.